They were never ready for you. You are not just another player in this game. You are the game changer, the force they never accounted for. The ones who once ignored you, they're now watching your every move, analyzing, adapting, scrambling to understand something they cannot control. Your name is shaking the walls of power. Your presence is bending reality itself. In rooms you've never stepped into, conversations you weren't invited to, your name is being spoken with both awe and unease. They feel it, the energy you bring, the movement you've ignited, the weight of your vision. It's undeniable. The ones who once dictated the rules, they're now adjusting to yours. This isn't just about money. This is a power shift. The architects of industry, the keepers of influence, they're no longer just observing. They're moving because they see what's coming, and they know if they don't align with you now, they'll be left behind. You are not just rising. You are rewriting fate. The only question is, are they ready? They never saw it coming. The realization that those who once dictated the rules are now shifting their gaze towards something far beyond their grasp. Influence has never belonged to those who inherited it. It has always been claimed by those bold enough to redefine its meaning. The world's most powerful figures sense the tremors of change, recognizing that the balance of authority is no longer fixed. Every era has witnessed the rise of those who refuse to be shaped by convention, the ones who shattered expectations and rewrote the trajectory of human achievement. They were uninvited at first, dismissed as anomalies, until the tide turned in their favor, making their presence undeniable. Endurance forges legends, and this path is not for those who waver. What stands unshaken in the storm is built not on approval, but on an unrelenting commitment to purpose. Every rejection, every barrier placed in the way has only strengthened the resolve behind each step forward. The unmistakable signs of a paradigm shift are everywhere, and those who once resisted are now watching, uncertain whether to fight it or align before it leaves them behind. The world has always needed those who challenge stagnation, those who tear down illusions and breathe life into the structures of the future. Comfort has never been a catalyst for transformation, and those who cling to the past now find themselves in a losing battle against the inevitable. There are forces that demand recognition without speaking a word. Some figures move through the world, not as echoes of tradition, but as undeniable proof that evolution does not wait for permission. They are not deviations from the norm. They are the standard by which everything will be measured from now on. The resistance of skeptics, the roadblocks set by gatekeepers, and the desperate grasp of those who fear irrelevance have never been obstacles, only confirmations of impending change. The systems built on outdated foundations are crumbling, and those searching for something real now have no choice but to look where they once refused. They know now what they could not admit before. The future is unfolding before them, and there is no stopping it. This moment is larger than any individual. It is a reckoning with a reality that cannot be manipulated. Structures designed for control, for predictability, for the maintenance of power are being forced to reckon with something that does not bow. The old order was built on an illusion of permanence, but even the most carefully constructed fortresses cannot withstand the weight of truth. Those who once thrived in obscured corridors now find themselves exposed, their hold on influence slipping as they come face to face with a force they cannot contain. It is not rebellion, it is the rebalancing of what was always meant to change. Every ripple expands beyond the surface, reaching into places thought untouchable. The effects of this transformation will not be confined to meeting rooms or financial ledgers. They will rewrite the way systems operate, reshape industries, and alter the landscape of influence itself. What was once an untouchable hierarchy now faces an unmovable force, and those who once controlled narratives are being forced to rewrite their own. They will attempt to resist, to distort, to stall what cannot be undone. But their very resistance is proof that the foundation they built is no longer stable. In the corridors of power, the conversations have changed. The names being whispered now belong to those who do not seek permission to exist within the system, but who redefine it entirely. The uncertainty lingers. Will they be allies or adversaries to this force they cannot yet predict? They maneuver carefully, attempting to claim proximity before they are left behind. Yet, for all their wealth and strategy, they fail to understand that some things cannot be controlled. What they seek to capture was never theirs to dictate. There is one advantage that cannot be replicated: undeniable authenticity. Power has always sought to manufacture influence, to engineer status, to fabricate dominance. Yet no matter how intricately they construct these facades, they falter in the presence of something real. The illusion of control fractures when faced with someone who does not need their approval to rise. Those who have mastered deception now find themselves disarmed, watching something unfold that cannot be manipulated. They mistake an open hand for an invitation, failing to realize that proximity does not mean control. Power is not in accumulation, it is in clarity. Those who move with precision, who refuse to be distracted by false opportunities, hold an advantage that cannot be taken. Influence is not about visibility alone. It is about intent, about moving with such purpose that every action reshapes the terrain. The ones who reach the highest levels of control are not those who respond to every challenge, but those who dictate the game before others even recognize it is being played. The noise of the world is designed to disorient, but true control is found in knowing when to remain silent, when to strike, and when to let chaos dismantle itself. The question is not whether the world will attempt to reshape those who disrupt it. It always does. The real question is whether those who stand at the center of transformation will allow themselves to be molded by external forces, or if they will carve out a new reality altogether. Wealth has never been the true measure of power. It has only ever been a tool. The difference is in how it is wielded. Some will continue to chase status, to gather resources, to cling to outdated symbols of success. But those who understand the deeper game know that their legacy will not be written in numbers. This is not about temporary achievement. It is about impact that cannot be erased. What is being constructed now is beyond recognition, something that will stand long after those who doubted it are forgotten. The world is shifting, and the systems built to maintain control are facing a force they never accounted for. This is not about waiting for change. It is about being the force that ensures it happens. And those who once held the power to dictate what was possible are now realizing that they are no longer the ones writing the future. The shockwaves of transformation do not halt at corporate corridors or financial empires. They spread far beyond, reshaping the very architecture of control. Each deliberate action dismantles long-standing frameworks, hierarchies constructed to preserve influence, political structures designed to restrict access, and outdated systems that have long dictated the course of society. Entire industries are recalibrating, policies are being rewritten, and once passive communities are awakening to a reality they never considered possible. This is more than disruption. It is the redefinition of limits once considered absolute. But nothing shifts without resistance. The guardians of the past, those who have built their dominion on inertia, are gripping the edges of their vanishing comfort. Their greatest fear is not change itself, it is losing their grip on the illusion of permanence. To protect their position, they resort to the oldest tactics: misinformation, manipulation, and obstructions engineered to stall momentum. But their panic is revealing. They understand that what was once an unchallenged rulebook is now being rewritten by an unstoppable force. They cannot match the clarity of vision, the endurance of conviction, or the ability to move beyond the constraints they spent lifetimes defending. Their hesitation is more than doubt. It is the silent admission of a game they can no longer control. If your heart overflows with God's blessings, let that love shine. Click the super thank you button and give $20 or more to plant seeds of faith that will impact countless lives. Your generosity reflects His abundance. Be a vessel of His grace and watch His kingdom flourish through you. Behind closed doors, within the inner sanctums of influence, the conversations have shifted. The architects of control, those who once dictated the terms of power, now analyze, discuss, and speculate over a force they cannot quite decipher. They are uncertain whether to suppress or assimilate, whether to stand in opposition or seek inclusion before it is too late. They observe the movement unfolding with both admiration and unease, recognizing a presence that does not fit within their frameworks. Every mechanism of control they have relied upon, wealth, alliances, strategic positioning, is rendered ineffective against something that does not need their validation to exist. This is the ultimate paradox. They cannot ignore it, yet they cannot contain it. And so, they maneuver, adapting their strategies in a desperate attempt to secure proximity, to find a way to align themselves before they are rendered obsolete. But what draws them in is not merely ambition, innovation, or scale. It is something far more elusive. It is the inability to fabricate what has never been manufactured: authenticity. They have spent decades engineering images, crafting reputations, and leveraging resources to maintain the illusion of power. Yet, for all their refinement, they stand in the presence of something raw, something unfiltered, something that does not need permission to exist. And that unsettles them. They watch as attention gravitates, as influence spreads without artificial leverage, as momentum builds without external approval. Influence, they now understand, is not a currency that can be bought. It must be earned, and it is being earned at a rate they cannot match. This is a different game, one where the rules they have played by no longer apply. The offers they extend, wrapped in the guise of opportunity, are not what they seem. The alliances they propose are not built on shared purpose, but on their own survival. They whisper, they strategize, they present illusions of partnership, hoping to entangle themselves in something they cannot otherwise access. But what they fail to realize is that they are not the ones watching. They are the ones being watched. Every move is anticipated, every intention dissected, every strategy countered before it can be executed. And therein lies the fundamental difference. While they attempt to adapt, to mold, to manipulate, what they are up against does not move within their constructs. It is guided by something they cannot understand, an unyielding purpose that does not waver under pressure, does not bend to temptation, and does not seek shortcuts for temporary gain. Influence is a double-edged force, and only those who master it with precision can wield it without losing themselves. Power is not in reacting to every provocation, but in choosing battles with intention. in knowing when to advance and when to let distractions collapse under their own weight. The noise of the world is an engineered mechanism designed to divert focus, but clarity is the true weapon. Those who dictate the course of history do not engage in every conflict. They move with calculation, ensuring that every step is deliberate. Every action serves a higher vision. Influence without direction is mere spectacle. True mastery lies in controlling the flow of momentum, in setting the course rather than being pulled by it. You are here for a reason. If you feel the call, answer it. Click Join to unlock exclusive content, deep insights, and a powerful community. This isn't just a membership, it's an awakening. Step into your divine purpose. Join the chosen. The world is shifting. The structures that once seemed immovable are beginning to fracture, their foundations weakening under the force of undeniable change. And those who believed themselves untouchable are now realizing the truth. The game they spent lifetimes mastering has already been rewritten. Some chase power through deception, while others forge their path with unwavering conviction. The difference is clear. One is built on shifting ground, easily fractured under pressure, while the other stands immovable, immune to the forces that seek to corrupt it. The rarest kind of influence is the one that does not waver, that does not bend to external pressures or momentary temptations. It is not driven by greed, nor shaped by fleeting ambition. Instead, it emerges from something deeper, a relentless pursuit of a vision that cannot be bought, cannot be imitated, and cannot be controlled. Those who once dismissed its presence are now drawn to it, though they do not fully understand why. What sets it apart is not the pursuit of recognition, but the refusal to betray its essence. In a world that rewards compromise and thrives on manipulation, integrity is the rarest form of defiance. And that defiance is unshakable. The weight of transformation is not carried by those who follow the easy path. It belongs to those who stand firm when the pressure mounts, who refuse to surrender to forces that would rather see them fade than rise. Doubt will creep in, obstacles will multiply, and moments of uncertainty will test even the strongest resolve. But these are not signs of failure. They are the fires that forge the unstoppable. Leadership is not found in titles or wealth. It is built on the willingness to withstand what others cannot. The world is desperate for something real, for a force that is not diluted by greed or weakened by deception. That is why the powerful now watch closely, no longer content to observe from the sidelines. They recognize something they cannot manufacture, a force that does not seek their validation but is impossible to ignore. What they offer in return extends beyond financial gain. They promise access, alliances, and the weight of their influence. But beneath the surface of these gestures lies a deeper question. Do they see the vision, or do they only see an opportunity to secure their own survival? Money has always followed those who move differently, but this is not about wealth. It is about the undeniable energy of those who refuse to be controlled. Their interest is not in innovation itself, but in aligning with something they cannot replicate. They understand that in a world where power is shifting, credibility has become the new currency. And yet, with their attention comes a new challenge: how to accept the resources without surrendering independence. The equation is more complex than it seems, because every offer carries an expectation, whether spoken or unspoken. This moment is not about accumulation. It is about clarity. Influence is not determined by the weight of external support, but by the ability to remain untethered by it. The presence of wealth does not dictate the direction of a vision. Only those who understand the depth of their own purpose can determine that course. What is at stake is far greater than numbers, than titles, than fleeting alliances. It is about ensuring that momentum is not redirected, that the foundation remains unshaken, that the power to decide remains in the hands of those who built it, not those who arrived late, hoping to claim a piece of what they could never create. Adversity has never been an obstacle. It has been the forge, refining raw determination into something unbreakable. Every attempt to undermine progress, every calculated effort to diminish influence, has only served to reinforce what cannot be erased. Resistance is predictable. It follows a pattern known to those who disrupt the expected order. Their strategies are neither new nor effective. They isolate, they distort, they attempt to plant uncertainty where none belongs. Yet every obstacle has only sharpened focus, turning barriers into catalysts. The fear they harbor is not rooted in the opposition itself, but in what it represents: a force that does not yield, does not fade, and does not conform. Their uncertainty is not a deterrent. It is proof of trajectory. Patterns fade, movements weaken, and fabricated authority crumbles, but what is built from conviction cannot be undone. Delays may arise, but they do not alter the inevitable. The more the opposition resists, the clearer the direction becomes. The path forward is not walked alone. Expansion demands not just strategy, but precision in those who stand beside it. Power is not solely in action, but in the network that amplifies it. Those who surround a mission define its reach, whether they fortify its foundation or introduce cracks that weaken it from within. This is why alignment is no longer a choice. It is a necessity. The difference between acceleration and stagnation lies in the quality of the inner circle. Not all who extend a hand do so in good faith. Some seek proximity, drawn to momentum they did not create, eager to attach themselves to something greater than their own ambition. The weight of influence is not in numbers, but in discernment. Knowing who to trust, who to elevate, and who to remove before they become a liability. A fortress is only as strong as those who guard its gates. Strength is not merely found in talent or intellect, but in unwavering loyalty to the vision itself. The right allies do not chase convenience or validation. They uphold the mission even when the path is unclear. They are not drawn to comfort, but to purpose, understanding that endurance is the true measure of commitment. They do not offer hollow praise, but necessary truth. They do not stand still when challenges arise. They move in tandem, shielding the mission from unnecessary distractions. The wrong presence in the room can unravel progress before it is even realized. Influence does not grow in isolation, but it is destroyed by the wrong company. The measure of leadership is not just in what is built, but in what is protected. Opportunities will come, some genuine, others masked in illusion. The difference between expansion and derailment lies in the ability to distinguish between the two. The game is shifting, and those who once dictated the terms are now watching, waiting to see where the next step will lead. The foundation being built now is not temporary. It is not reactive. It is a force in motion, an entity that does not waver, one that will not be steered by outside hands, but by the vision that created it. Mastery is not found in volume, but in precision. The more the world takes notice, the more voices will rise, each one demanding attention, each one seeking a reaction. But true influence is not in answering every call. It is in knowing when to speak and when to remain unseen. Silence, wielded correctly, is a weapon stronger than words. The ones who hold real power do not chase every opportunity. They dictate their own timing, ensuring that every move is deliberate, every action calculated. The chaos surrounding influence is not an accident. It is designed to pull focus, to scatter intention, to turn momentum into noise. The ability to resist the pull, to operate with clarity amidst the distractions, is what separates those who endure from those who fade. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every stage is worth standing on. The game is won not by reacting, but by moving with precision, ensuring that every step forward is not a concession to the noise, but a statement of control. The forces of the world will always attempt to mold, to contain, to redefine. The question is not whether external pressure will try to shape the future. It always does. The real test lies in resisting that pull, in standing firm enough to shape the world instead. Material wealth has never been the true endgame. It has only ever been a tool. Some chase accumulation, believing that numbers equate to power, but real impact is measured in permanence, in the shifts that extend beyond an era, beyond an individual lifetime. Influence without direction is a fleeting illusion, but purpose solidifies into something unbreakable. The world watches not because of possessions, but because of presence. In a time where visibility is mistaken for significance, the rarest force is the one that refuses to seek validation, the one that builds with intention rather than applause. The legacy that endures is never written in currency. It is etched into the structure of history itself, and only a few will ever understand what it means to create something that does not end when they do. Some build for the present, but true visionaries construct legacies that extend beyond their own time. This is not about accumulation. It is about endurance, about shaping something that will remain long after the architects themselves have stepped away. Wealth, by itself, has never sustained true impact. The ones who reshape history are not those who hoard resources, but those who leverage them to fuel movements, to forge structures that withstand the erosion of time. The real question has never been about possession. It has always been about contribution. At a certain point, it becomes clear that what has been established so far is only the beginning. Signs emerge, doors open, momentum builds, and what once felt distant is now within reach. But to elevate beyond the familiar, strategy must replace instinct, and vision must expand beyond the horizon. The landscape is evolving, and the responsibility to define its course has never been more urgent. To extend reach, to cement influence, to construct something that outlasts uncertainty, these are no longer aspirations. They are expectations. Growth is not a possibility. It is the only path forward. Expansion is not simply about scale. It is about refining, reinforcing, and ensuring that what has been built is indestructible. The future does not belong to those who react to it. It belongs to those who shape it. The shift is undeniable. The circles that once dictated the course of power are no longer the sole arbiters of influence. How far this force extends will depend on the ability to remain ahead of the shifting tides. This is not the moment to simply lead. It is the moment to establish permanence, to cement an unshakable position that will resonate through industries, through cultures, through generations. Readiness is no longer in question. The only question left is whether the world is prepared for what comes next. Challenges will not cease. Opposition will not wane. But none of it matters. The outcome is already determined. There is no path forward that does not end in victory. The ability to endure, to adapt, to rise beyond obstacles, is what ensures longevity. Others falter when the pressure mounts, but the ones who are forged in resistance do not break. There is no force greater than conviction, no opposition stronger than an unyielding pursuit of purpose. Doubt will come, resistance will persist, but none of it is enough to deter what has already been set in motion. Success is not in fleeting triumphs, but in the marks left behind long after the battle has passed. Those who once opposed, who once sought to obstruct, will find themselves forgotten, relics of an era that could not withstand the pressure of change. Their resistance is not a barrier, it is proof of impact. The structures they built were fragile, held together by fear, by illusion. But this is different. This is built on something they cannot touch, something that does not falter under scrutiny. And in the end, history will not remember those who stood in the way. It will remember the force that moved past them, the one that could not be stopped, the one that redefined everything.